Sandy Says Read. Welcome back to the channel. This evening we are going to start the first of a three-part series. What we're going to do is a review and discussion of the three books in the Word and the Void series, trilogy, by Terry Brooks. I enjoyed these three books very much, so I want to talk about each one. I'm probably going to go through this pretty quickly because, and the reason we're splitting this up is because my machine here has decided that I only get to record for a certain amount of time and then it locks up. So we're just going to do one at a time. It's just the way we're going to do it. Are you ready? Okay, I've got my notes, you guys. The Word and the Void special fancy hardcover edition that I have is this one. Ta-da! Get the glare off of it. There you go. The Word and the Void. The three novels in here are Running with the Demon, A Night of the Word, and Angel Fire East. Those are the three books in here. Our two main characters that we follow throughout these three books are John Ross, who is a Knight of the Word, and Nest Freemark. And when we first meet her in the first book, she's a 14-year-old girl who has some magic about her. She has a magical ability within her, but she's been taught by her grandmother and society from a pretty young age that she needs to kind of hide that, kind of not bring that out. And so that kind of messes with her character arc, right? I mean, we see this coming of age story for Nest Freemark where she's gonna use her magic when she needs to, right? And she learns to accept who she is, and she learns to accept the use of her magic when she needs to. It's a really nice arc, a really nice character arc for her. I liked that. Okay, so let's go to my notes and talk about it. Running with the Demon, book one. It was published in 1997 in this trilogy set that I have. It's pages 1 through 278. The story takes place over the July 4th holiday. The story does. So it's July 1st through the 5th is where the action takes place. And what's happening in the story is a very urban fantasy story. We see a steel mill that is on strike. The union workers have gone on strike. And what's happening is these union workers they're filled with angst, right? As you would be, right? I mean, when your job is on the line, when you can't go to work, when you can't make money for your family, they're full of angst. They've got some anger. They've got some issues bubbling to the surface. And those issues and that anger is attracting demons to the town of Hopewell, Illinois. Nest Freemark, she is 14 years old at the time, and she goes out into Sinisippi Park in Hopewell, Illinois, and she spends a lot of time there. She's got these magical powers, these magical abilities within her, and she uses those magical powers to the best of her ability, quietly, to help others. So she's doing good things with these magical powers, but she's kind of hiding them as best she can. She has a friend in the park. There is a creature called a Sylvan. He's a magical creature, and he's like this little fella who can like sit on her shoulder and guide her and give her guidance, who can give her information and can help her with her magical abilities. His name is Pick, and he's just this little woodland creature who he guards and takes care of the park, and that is his sort of domain. He doesn't really, he can go beyond the boundaries of the park, but he doesn't like to. He doesn't want to. He's a little bit fussy, and he likes to stay in the park where he's supposed to be, doing his job. So we have these characters who are not bound to the park, but working together to take care of people in the park, creatures in the park, and keep the balance of good stuff going on there. But these demons are showing up. These demons are attracted to the negativity and the anger that's going on around Hopewell. Also, Nest Freemark is coming to a point in her life where she needs to make a decision. And I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to give away what that decision is, how it's come about. But this Knight of the Word, John Ross, knows that her decision is coming up. He's been having these prophetic dreams, and he wants to get to Hopewell. He wants to get to Nest. He wants to talk to her, see if he can influence her in some way. Yet Terry Brooks doesn't take away Nest's free will. she still has agency. She still gets to go on this character arc. She still gets to make the decisions in this book, in this narrative. She still gets to decide for herself what she's going to do, how she's going to, make these decisions. She doesn't, Terry doesn't take that away from her. He doesn't make John Ross, this pivotal character, make those decisions for Nest. She still gets to do that. And I liked that. I was very pleased with that. I'm not going to tell you what those decisions were. I'm not going to tell you how they came about. It's pretty cool. I mean, there's a showdown. At the climactic part of this first book, there's a showdown that is awesome. It's cool. I enjoyed it greatly. If you haven't read it, I recommend it. All right, so let's see. There's some pretty deep stuff that Terry has included in this novel. There are several characters who work as sort of mentors, sort of guides for Nest without telling her, here's what you should do. Here's how you should do this. Here's how you should act. Here's how you should think. They don't do that to her. They just give her some guidance. They give her like some thought-provoking material, some information. One of those characters is an Indian who is from the Sinisippi tribe, and he's like the last of his people. And he comes to the park and he asks Nest, hey, would you like to sit down with me and have a vision with me? And she's like, yeah, I'd like to do that. And I can't pronounce his Indian name. It's in the book, and you can like read it when you're reading through, but if I tried to pronounce it, I would butcher it, and then I'd be embarrassed. But he also goes by the name of Two Bears. And I can pronounce that, so I'm going to call him Two Bears. But Nest does pronounce his Indian name, and she calls him by his Indian name when she talks to him or talks about him. And he finds that comforting because he doesn't want to be forgotten. He doesn't want his people to be forgotten. And so Nest, when she says his name, it is as if she is remembering him and his people and keeping him and his spirit alive. And I liked that. That continues throughout all three of these books, and it's lovely. I think that's wonderful, even though I can't pronounce his name. Nest can, and that's good. Okay, so anyway, this first very deep thought comes from him. There are a lot of deep thoughts in here, but the one I'm going to read for you comes from him. All right, now I like to give you guys a flavor, a little snippet of these books. So here's the first one on page 140. This is Two Bears talking to Nest. And he says, I was told of the fate of the Sinisippi, my people. I was told their story. He shook his head. But it is much more complicated than I thought, and I cannot yet find the words to explain it, even to myself. I have the images safely stored, he touched his forehead, but they are jumbled and vague, and they need time to reveal themselves. His brow furrowed. This much I know. The destruction of a people does not come easily or directly, but from a complex scheme of events and circumstances. And that, in part, is why it can happen. Because we lack the foresight to prevent it. Because we do not guard sufficiently against it. Because we do not truly understand it. Because we are, in some part, at least, the enemy we fear. Isn't that deep and thought-provoking? What an awesome thing for Terry to have included in there for Two Bears to say. I really liked that. That was deep. Okay, the next item, let's see, was page 172? Yeah, page 172. Okay, and this is where John Ross is speaking, and he's speaking of the feeders. Now, these feeders are another creature that Terry has introduced in this story. They are these like mist-like denizens of evil. They have some substance when they brush against you, but they're basically little mist-like creatures that feed upon humans at death. I mean, when you are at death's door and you are most afraid and you have the most fear, they will feed upon that fear. If you are a person who is just vicious and have a lot of anger and hate about you, the feeders will come and they will feed on that hate and they will feed on that viciousness. They feed on the bad things in people. They're awful little horrible things. There is a character named Bennett. She's in this first story, she's like a 6 or 8 year old girl, right? And in the beginning of the story, she is out wandering at night because her mom is a negligent mother. So Bennett is out wandering at night and she comes up to these bluffs, these cliffs, and she's in danger of going over the cliffs. And these feeders are sort of like pushing her along. They're nudging her along and encouraging her to get close to the edge and to go over. They're trying to kill this little child because these feeders are just evil and bad and they want to feed off of her fear and her death. That's what they are. And when demons come to Hopewell, the feeders increase. They increase in their number because they're coming where the demons are. They want to like feed off of the scraps that the demons leave behind. They're bad juju. Okay, so here is John Ross talking. He felt trapped by his words. Pick must have told you about the feeders. The feeders are only here because of us. They react to us as humans. They feed on our emotions, on our behavior. They grow stronger or weaker depending on how we behave. The word made them to be a reflection of us. If we behave well, we diminish them. If we behave badly, we strengthen them. And that also I found very deep, very, very interesting that Terry included that in the story. Okay, so that I think is all I wanted to share with you about the first book, Running with the Demon, because I don't want to give away how Nest comes to her decision. I mean, obviously, because there are 3 books and Nest is one of the characters in all 3, obviously she doesn't like give in to demonism, right? She continues in these stories. So you can take that as a good, positive, hopeful thing, but I don't want to give away how that comes about and how she uses her agency as a character because it's pretty cool when that climax happens. Okay? So that's it for this first review of the first book. I invite you to follow along here at the channel because tomorrow we're going to do the second book, A Night of the Word. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thumbs up because Terry Brooks is an awesome writer and has done an awesome job with these characters. And please subscribe, hit the notification bell icon so you'll be notified when tomorrow's video goes up. Thanks so much for tuning in.